Okay, I think we are live now. Alrighty, I hope that the majority of people, or at least somebody, has joined already this stream. If people are still coming, that's awesome. My name is Sergey. I'm from Estonian e-Residency. And thank you guys for finding this time to join this call today. For those of you who are the first time on this stream from e-Residency together with Finevolution that we organize, then just for your information, we have done a similar thing, I believe, a few weeks ago, where we were talking more about the e-Residency concept, about a company registration in Estonia, about an ongoing campaign that basically allows Ukrainian citizens to become an e-resident and register a company in Estonia for free. And therefore, as this is a follow-up webinar specifically made for startup founders about the Estonian startup ecosystem, then I thought I will restructure a little bit my presentation. I'm not going to speak much about company creation this time or banking and different taxation issues, because you can watch it in the previous webinar. I'm going to focus on little different things. And then once I finish, I will give a word to Natalia, who is representing Finevolution. So Finevolution is one of trusted service providers of e-Residency, have been working with us for some time. And then also Maria and Kadri, they will introduce Startup Wise Guys and Garage 48, which are two core organizations in the Estonian startup ecosystem. And they will tell you what are the options and opportunities for Ukrainian startup founders that you guys can get there. And I believe I'm gonna just jump into my presentation right away. By the way, at the end, we will have a short Q&A session. So guys, feel free to put your comments right in the chat. And we'll get to them. We'll see. Maybe we will take some of them, the hardest ones, right at the end of the presentation. But the majority of them we will answer at the end. Now, shall I still bring my presentation in? Okay, here it is. So, like I said, yeah, I'm gonna focus mostly on two topics in my presentation. First of all, I assume that there are some of you who are still thinking whether you need a company in the European Union at all, and what are those specific reasons that you would need this company in the European Union. And second, if you decide to register a company in the European Union, then why Estonia, right? So why Estonia is better than Poland or Portugal or Lithuania or any other country? And to begin with, to begin answering this question, I would answer this way, that you could, but you don't have to, right? You don't have to register a company in the EU if you don't have a specific plan. And I think the specific plan should be if you have some part of your target audience, if you have your customers, if you have your business partners in the EU, then it kind of makes sense to explore, this direction. And if you don't have any of this, if you just focus on Ukrainian market, then perhaps it's a little bit early to focus on registering a company somewhere else, in the European Union. But there are several reasons, nevertheless, why I think it's a good idea to think about creating a company in the European Union. Now, for example, I don't know if you know it or not, or if you have thought about it before, but by registering your startup somewhere in the European Union, you could actually access some of the funding options for your startup that otherwise you're not able to get, because the majority of the European Union venture capital funds are funded by the European Investment Fund, and therefore they are allowed to invest only in the startups that are registered in the EU. Okay, so simply by having a company registered in the European Union, you can access some part of that capital, even if founders are physically located in Ukraine. Okay, but not only venture capital funds, there are many governmental and European Union support programs that are specifically designed to boost startups, whether it's early stage or a scale up. And especially if you are in popular industries like cybersecurity, sustainability, AI, and other relevant ones. For instance, in Estonia, we have a business and innovation agency, which I work for, and we give out grants and loans to startup founders to support their beginnings and their growth. And it doesn't matter where the founders are actually located, whether you're in Ukraine or you're in Estonia or any other country in the world. As long as you have a company registered in Estonia, you can actually already participate in some of these governmental support programs, right? But many other countries in the European Union, they do exactly the same, okay? So the second reason why I establish a company in the EU is that it simplifies international money transfers and offers more transparency for your EU partners and customers. And that, like I said, obviously, if you have those customers and partners. And I assume that those of you who have been operating in the EU for a while, you have already understood this. But if you're just looking for ways to enter the EU market, then just be aware, that this can become an issue. And not always, but for example, when we are working with our Ukrainian partners, then we oftentimes have to prove the source of funds when we are paying our invoices to Ukraine partners. And then we have to provide extract from the registry and the contract, and stuff like that. And it's not always the case, but sending and receiving payments from Ukraine can sometimes be tricky these days. So again, having a company and a banking account in the EU helps you to kind of eliminate these issues in the long run. And third point maybe is that we're talking also about the protection of your capital and intellectual property. Now, some of you may argue that I'm being a little dramatic, but yet I spoke to many Ukrainian founders, and a lot of them thought that they feel more, safe and more protected and a little better knowing that some of the assets of their startup, of their company, are in foreign jurisdictions, right? So it's kind of like diversification of risks. And that's also another point, right, to consider. And fourth is the overall success of the startup ecosystem can significantly help you boost your business, right? And I'm talking about, the knowledge that comes from the startup ecosystem that helps startups succeed in the long run. And there are many great talents in Ukraine, a lot of knowledge, and there is definitely a bright future ahead of you guys in terms of innovation. But what I mean is that, for example, I guess you wouldn't argue that let's say if you compare Ukraine and Silicon Valley, right? Then in Silicon Valley there is much more knowledge, much faster speed, much more opportunities for startups, right? And then, to be fair, there is also more competition, right? So obviously you have to wait the things. But what I'm saying is that there are other startup ecosystems outside of Ukraine. So if you have this opportunity to get some extra knowledge, get some extra benefits from outside, then why limit yourself, right? Because at the end of the day, limiting yourself with options slows you down. And in startups, we all know being slow means risking your survival, right? But let's assume, and these are some of the points. Obviously, there are more reasons as well to this, but let's stick with these, and let's assume that they make sense. So why where in the European Union would you register your company then? Okay, well, I come from Estonia, but there are other countries. I know a lot of Ukrainians. They will register companies in Poland, in Portugal, in Lithuania, and somewhere else. And I mean, obviously in the UK and in the United States as well. But let's not focus on regions that are outside of the European Union. So I'll let other countries speak about their own advantages, but I would like to show you a few things about Estonia. Now, did you guys know that Dealroom makes all kind of interesting reports related to startups worldwide? So if you go to a webpage of Dealroom, they have a bunch of different reports, and they're really good, focusing on different regions. And they lately have made a report on startups from CEE, so Central and Eastern Europe. And among all the other information that they presented, they also found out how much money startups have raised in 2023 in different countries of Central and Eastern Europe. So check this out. So they mapped out 115 major cities across CEE. And it turned out that Estonian startups have raised the biggest amount of capital in 2023. Now, is that a surprise? For somebody, it may be. Not for me, honestly, because this has been a trend in the last years that Estonian startups have constantly, like every year, have been raising more investments. And then if you look at this, this is CEE, but if you take the worldwide statistics, then Estonian startups have been raising also the most amount of investments per capita, okay? Because Estonia is a small country, but per capita, again, same thing. But why is that so? And why is it important even to look at this graph? So Estonian startup ecosystem is built on some of the early exits that happened in 2000s. You may have heard that Skype was founded by Estonians. Now, this is true, but that's old news already, right? Skype was sold to eBay in 2005 for $2.6 billion. What's important is that what happened next. And what happened was that those ex-founders of Skype, they started to invest heavily back into the Estonian startup ecosystem. And they started working closely with the Estonian government to create an environment that would be conducive to startups. That's when Estonian government started going all in, basically building the most advanced digital infrastructure, introducing favorable policies for startups, making it super easy for entrepreneurs to start and to grow their businesses. And as a result, today, Estonia has the most advanced digital public sector in the world, which, as a result, helps us to significantly reduce bureaucracy. So people can actually, instead of paperwork, people can actually focus on growing their companies, growing their businesses. And also this high digitalization, it helps to provide transparency within a business environment. So eventually the trust of other countries is high towards Estonian businesses because the whole business environment is very transparent. And obviously, this high digitalization and transparency, it helps with corruption. It helps to keep it very low, right? As a result. Besides that, also like in the parallel, for the last 20 years, Estonia has been working towards simplifying tax regulations and creating special tax incentives for entrepreneurs. And again, some of you may have heard that Estonia is really good on taxation, right? But Estonia ranks #1 worldwide in the International Tax Competitiveness Index. So, for example, in Estonia, there is a 0% corporate income tax on retained and reinvested profits. It means that you pay no taxes, 0 taxes on your company profits until you decide to pay out dividends. Only then you pay like 20% on dividends that you pay out. Well, isn't that helpful, right? That helps a lot. Now, coming back to this slide, imagine being an angel investor or a VC, so we're trying to understand why Estonian startups are raising so much money. So being an investor or a VC, like, wouldn't you want to invest into a startup that is registered in the country with one of the most active and successful startup ecosystems in Europe, in the country where everything is done digitally, where there is almost zero bureaucracy, a fully transparent business environment with extremely low level of corruption, and where startups don't have to pay taxes? It's a no-brainer, right? Of course, you would want to invest into Estonian startups taking these conditions. And especially since Estonia has the biggest amount of unicorn startups per capita in the world. That's another fact. So Estonia is a small country. By population, we are 2 times smaller than Kiev, basically. But we have 10 unicorn startups, which proves really that Estonian startups overall have a very successful track record, backed by professional knowledge and governmental support, right? So my thought is this: it makes sense to register a company somewhere in the European Union for several reasons, as we talked. And if you were to do it, then the best place to do it is Estonia, because of the best taxation policies, because of the ability to register and manage your Estonian company fully remotely. Like, you don't need to leave Ukraine for that, because of the simplicity of Estonian business environment, and because of the Estonian startup ecosystem being really successful. I would say the most successful around Europe, because I travel a lot due to my work. I speak a lot with policymakers, with players who are connected to startup ecosystems around Europe. And this is what I've seen. And you can apply for e-Residency on the website of e-Residency by filling out a form and paying a €120 fee. Then the Estonian police does the background check on you, and we send the e-Residency card to you, to one of the pickup locations, basically. In Kiev, but also we recently opened Lviv, so you can pick it up there as well. Just so you understand, and there is no misunderstanding, okay? So e-Residency, like, once you receive it, you will get access to all of the public services of Estonia. So it's a government-issued digital ID that gives you access to the digital infrastructure of Estonia. But it's not a travel document. It's not a real identification document. It doesn't change your physical residency. It's not a visa or anything like that, okay? It's just a tool that gives you access to the Estonian digital infrastructure, basically. And I'm not going to stop here for much longer, because you can actually look for those details in the previous webinar that is recorded, and it's available on Finevolution's YouTube channel. But before I finish my presentation, I would really quickly want to share my screen and actually show you a website, which is let me see. Okay, hold on a second. I'm slow with technology, right? I'm not sure if you guys see the new tab as well or not. Can someone tell me? Because I believe you should. Startup Estonia. Right. So let me know, stop me somebody if you don't see it. But basically, if you go to the Startup Estonia webpage, and if you go to resources section, then one thing what I would do if I was you, and if I had a startup, I would go to, actually right here, ecosystem overview, and there is an access to the Estonian startup database. So what you can do here is you can see not all of the startups in Estonia, but those who took time to register themselves in this database. But you can do your research and you can see what's trendy nowadays in Estonia. What are some of the startups that are gaining traction, basically? Who are their investors? So you can see, for example, a startup here. You find something that's in your industry, and you can see who are the investments or the investors who invested money into the startup on early stage. What you can do, you can research those investors, try to find them on LinkedIn, try to pitch them. Why not? And there is actually quite a lot of other information as well. Like you can separate here by startup, scale-ups, growth, unicorns, and so forth. Different investors and funding, and stuff like that. Exits, who did exits, and things like this. It's a very, very cool database. And perhaps it can give you a little bit overview about what's happening in Estonia in terms of startups. Okay, stop sharing my screen. This is what I wanted to leave you with, just a little research. I'll send you this link as well together with the slides afterwards. But this is where I stop, basically. I know I ran a little bit over my time. This is a little introduction. And I'd give a microphone to Natalia now from Finevolution, because they are a trusted service provider to e-Residency. And I'll let Natalia say a few words about what they do exactly for Estonian companies that are managed and registered by e-residents.
Sergey, thank you very much. It was quite interesting even for me, and you know that our clients are IT founders, startup founders, etc. And it's interesting that, and it's not a secret that when IT founder would like to establish the company for attracting investments or funding, they at first look to the USA, to the state of Delaware, and it's only one direction which they know, and it's a popular way. And our goal today to discover a new directions for it, and it's really interesting that Estonia provide a lot of options for attracting investments. And my goal with my speech to discover a taxation system, banking system, and how you can lead your business in Estonia.
So you're going to do it in Ukrainian language?
My presentation will be in Ukrainian language, yes.
Okay,
let's switch the language and let's start. So thank you. Доброго дня, рада вас вітати. І сьогодні ми поговоримо не лише про те, що ми робимо для і-резидентів, але й про те, з чим вам доведеться стикнутися, коли ви плануєте зареєструвати свою компанію на території Естонії. Передусім, варто сказати, що програма e-Residency з досвіду, коли приходить IT-фаундер і каже, що я ось зараз у перемовинах з інвесторами, і я не знаю, коли мені знадобиться компанія, але я не хочу витрачати свої гроші зараз на інкорпорацію, на підтримку, гроші, час, то програма e-Residency дає дуже класну можливість замовити собі цю картку. випадку, коли вже у вас є ця картка на руках, вам достатньо буде лише одного дня, щоб зареєструвати компанію і одразу підписувати договір і розпочати свою діяльність, наприклад, якщо у вас є вже якісь домовленості про залучення інвестицій. І враховуючи той факт, що ми працюємо на території різних країн, то, звісно, лише Естонія надає таку цікаву особливість. Стосовно нюансів функціонування компанії в Естонії. Ви як українець, а сьогодні на нашому івенті зареєстровані майже всі українці, тому ви можете бути як засновником, так і директором компанії в Естонії. Немає ніяких і жодних обмежень. У вас немає обов'язку вносити статутний капітал, тому ви не маєте його накопичувати до цього. Ви не обов'язково нараховуєте собі заробітну плату, це є ваше право, ви можете собі нараховувати, а можете, поки ваш стартап розвивається, не нараховувати. Стосовно банківських рішень. Зазвичай це зараз дуже важка тема для будь-якої компанії, і банківське середовище, на жаль, дуже зарегульовано і дуже погано відноситься до власників компаній, які не проживають на території реєстрації країни. У зв'язку з цим 99% наших клієнтів або рішень на ринку це зазвичай тоді, коли компанія користується новими платіжними рішеннями. Так звані необанки, фінтех-рішення, платіжні системи. Зараз їх існує безліч. Ну і зачастую, наприклад, вони також залучають інвестиції, дуже багато стартапів саме у фінтех-сфері. І таким чином можна відкрити такий рахунок. Тут, на прикладі, це Payoneer, Wise, Paysera, Revolut і дуже багато схожих рішень в режимі онлайн. Тобто не потрібно їхати до банку з особистим візитом, очікувати довгих рішень, тому що відкриття банківського рахунку, воно може тривати за кордоном 3, 6, 9 місяців. У нас були і навіть в кейсах і рік відкриття такого рахунку. Тому дуже швидко, легко відкриваються ці рахунки, і ви можете їм керувати так само в онлайні, в принципі, ніяких відмінностей від цього немає. І варто зазначити, що з точки зору ведення бухгалтерії, Естонія є однією з найкращих юрисдикцій все ж таки, бо комунікація з податковою відбувається в режимі онлайн, з нею можна переписуватися на емейлі, отримувати адекватні, зрозумілі відповіді на свої запитання. І відсутня бюрократичність, коли треба дуже багато якихось бумажок збирати, і в цілому є лише один звіт, який подається по ПДВ щомісячно, і один раз на рік це річний звіт в Естонії. Звісно, якщо у вас немає найманих працівників, якщо є наймані працівники, то там ще додаються певні звіти додатково. Стосовно оподаткування, Сергій вже зробив невеличке інтро і розповів, чому для інвесторів і для стартапів приваблива Естонія. Це дійсно так, що можна використовувати податкову систему, яка роками займає перші місця в податкових системах, дійсно по конкурентності, і не платити податки. Це мрія кожного бізнесмена, але, на жаль, не так багато є можливості, коли це можна зробити абсолютно легально. І ось Естонія ввела такий податок на розподілений прибуток, про який в Україні дуже багато було різних дискусій, і зараз він введений лише частково в режимі Дія Сіті для IT-компаній. Проте в Естонії він давно, спокійно і гарно працює. Таким чином, коли ви зберетесь виводити свій прибуток, саме у той момент ви заплатите 20% податку. До цього моменту ви можете весь свій прибуток реінвестувати в бізнес, витрачати його додатково на різні операційні витрати компанії і таким чином не сплачувати податок. Тобто запам'ятовуємо лише, що ми сплачуємо податок, коли ми виводимо собі дивіденди як власник, або це можуть бути якісь трудові податки, коли ми наймаємо офіційно працівників на території Естонії, або це може бути ПДВ, якщо виникає саме в ПДВ якесь навантаження. Також Естонія не стоїть на місці і пішла ще далі і ввела певну пільгу для тих, хто працює і розподіляє дивіденди протягом 3 років. І зробила знижку, відповідно, що починаючи з 4-го року, якщо ви попередньо 3 роки розподіляли дивіденди, тобто вони стимулюють все ж таки розподіляти дивіденди, то можна застосувати ставку 16% на суму розподілених дивідендів за минулі 3 роки, і додатково буде отримуватися withholding tax 7%, який може бути по Конвенції про уникнення подвійного оподаткування з країною, наприклад, в нашому випадку, якщо власник в Україні, може бути зарахований в рахунок українських податків. Йдемо далі. Якщо ви наймаєте працівників, звісно, що кожен стартап розпочинається з власника, якому так чи інакше у найближчому часі доведеться наймати собі команду. З чим доведеться стикнутися? На території Естонії вам потрібно буде, якщо ви наймаєте по трудовому договору людей, які знаходяться на території Естонії, заплатити податок на доходи фізичної особи, це 20%, також буде соціальний податок, це 33%, який складається із двох. 20% йде на державне пенсійне страхування і 13% використовується для державного медичного страхування. Відповідно, крім соціальних внесків, також роботодавці мають забезпечувати ще й внески, якщо буде якась відсутність роботи у працівника. Така ставка складає 0,8% для роботодавця і для працівників 1,6%. Але найчастіша ситуація, яку ми зараз бачимо в компаніях, що наймаються фрілансери, підрядники в різних країнах. Зараз дуже багато українців знаходяться на території різних країн Європейського Союзу, реєструють там статус індивідуального підприємця, і таким чином ваша естонська компанія так само може працювати з такими індивідуальними підприємцями на території різних країн ЄС. У такому випадку вам треба заключити договір з таким індивідуальним підприємцем, і також йому треба буде, якщо він не має статусу, наприклад, індивідуального підприємця, йому треба буде зареєструватися як працівник в тій країні, де він знаходиться, і він буде сплачувати локальні податки на території цієї країни. Або ж якщо він зареєстрований як self-employed і має статус індивідуального підприємця, то він сплачує податки згідно тих ставок, які діють в його країні на статус індивідуального підприємця. Лише тут треба буде врахувати той факт, що вам треба буде дивитися, щоб у нього обов'язково був VAT-EU номер, який дозволить вам в інвойсі додавати ставку 0% і не чаржити ще VAT на таких транзакціях. Що таке VAT? Це ПДВ. Для українців це трохи нова система, як він працює в Європі, тому ми сьогодні також коротко про це подивимося. З 2024 року ставка ПДВ в Естонії зросла з 20% до 22%. Також є знижена ставка, але вона застосовується до досить обмеженого досить обмежених видів діяльності. Є в нас такий ліміт, як 40 тисяч євро. Якщо ви не досягли ще ліміту 40 тисяч євро, ви не зобов'язані реєструвати собі VAT-номер. Але ви можете зробити це добровільно. Така процедура так само є. Варто сказати, що процедура реєстрації ПДВ досить легка. Є електронний кабінет платника податків, ви входите туди за допомогою своєї картки e-Residency, про яку розповідав Сергій, і відповідно подаєте заявку. Це займає максимум 15 хвилин часу, тому все дуже реально автоматизована діяльність в податковій сфері. Тому або ми чекаємо 40 тисяч євро і реєструємося обов'язково, або можна зареєструватися добровільно. Відповідно, тоді вам треба буде здавати ПДВ-звіти щомісячно і сплачувати ПДВ не пізніше 20-го числа місяця, якщо він виникає. Як же він працює VAT в Європі? Вам потрібно буде всіх своїх замовників, які у вас купляють ваші послуги або ваш SaaS-продукт, вам потрібно буде перевіряти наявність у них VAT-EU номера. Є певний веб-сайт Європейської комісії, де, вбиваючи країну та цей VAT-номер, можна підтвердити, що він валідний. Якщо він валідний, то тоді в нас ставка ПДВ 0%. І ми сміло ставимо в інвойс ставку 0%, Якщо ж у нашого замовника немає такого номеру, то ми маємо чарджити ПДВ. І тоді ми до інвойса додаємо локальну ставку. У нашому випадку це в Естонії 22%. Це про B2B транзакції. Якщо у вас B2C транзакції, і це, наприклад, або SaaS-продукт, або якийсь маркетплейс, там вже буде працювати інакша система обліку ПДВ. І важливий момент, про який я забула, що якщо ви постачаєте свої послуги або SaaS-продукт на територію Америки, Австралії і будь-яких інших країн, які знаходяться за межами Європейського Союзу, то ми також додаємо ставку 0%. Тому в більшості по нашим клієнтам IT-компаніям бачимо, що ПДВ не так часто виникає, тому що якщо ми кажемо про європейський ринок, у замовників завжди є ПДВ-номери, це 0%, або це буде експорт за межі Європейського Союзу, і це також завжди буде 0%. Про B2C трохи інакша система нарахування ПДВ. Тут ми вже маємо визначати, де знаходиться наша фізична особа, якій ми постачаємо товар чи послугу. І якщо вони знаходяться, наприклад, на території Франції, то ми додаємо ПДВ Франції. Якщо на території Іспанії, додаємо ПДВ Іспанії. Є автоматизовані софти, які визначають, звідки в нас людина на підставі декількох доказів. Це БІН-карти, може бути адреса реєстрації, яку указує людина, коли заповнює платіжну сторінку, це номер телефону і інші. Тому, коли цей автоматизований софт визначив, що більшість доказів відноситься до певної країни, то й додається актуалізована ставка ПДВ. Дуже часто цю процедуру багато стартапів опускають, але про це треба знати і розбиратися. Про подвійне оподаткування. Коли нам надіслали запитання, багато наших учасників, ми побачили таку проблему, що є таке спутане розуміння, що таке податкове резидентство і що таке є резидентство. І дуже часто ці питання путаються. Тому давайте я спробую пояснити простими зрозумілими словами. Що таке податкове резидентство? Воно визначається на підставі декількох факторів. Перший – це коли ми перебуваємо на території країни понад 183 дні, ми маємо місце постійного проживання, це доступна орендована чи куплена квартира чи будинок, або надана кимось, чоловіком чи дружиною, це також буде сюди відноситися. Якщо в нас є тут центр життєвих та економічних інтересів, наприклад, наша родина знаходиться з нами, або у нас є бізнес на території цієї країни, то по сукупності усіх цих факторів нас ця країна визнає податковим резидентом, і ми, відповідно, маємо сплачувати податки на території цієї країни. Так ось, є резидентство у противовіз. Це не про податкове резидентство. Це як електронно-цифровий підпис, який дозволяє вам отримати доступ до електронного середовища Естонії. І за допомогою цього, умовно кажучи, електронно-цифрового підпису зареєструвати компанію, відкрити рахунок в деяких системах, сходити до онлайн-нотаріуса, що дуже цікаво, або зробити зміни в компанії. Тобто воно не має прямої кореляції з податковим резидентством. Це такий головний момент, який треба уточнити. Тому, якщо ви отримали є-резидентство, то у вас не виникає одразу якогось податкового зобов'язання щось сплачувати. Бо це питання лежить все ж таки в аспекті податкового резидентства, де ви проживаєте. Ну і зараз ми кажемо, наприклад, про фізичну особу. Тому, якщо ми кажемо про те, що ви проживаєте на території України, всі наші учасники сьогодні з України, то отриманий дохід в Естонії, наприклад, як дивіденди, ви маєте його тут задекларувати і сплатити податки також тут. Відповідно, декларуються вони в декларації про майновий стан і доходи, яка подається до 1 травня за минулий календарний рік, і сплачується податок 9% на отриманий дохід від нерезидента за кордоном та 1,5% військового збору. Про це не варто забувати. Але все було б так легко, якби в Україні не прийняли законодавство про КІК, нова історія, яка тепер каже про те, що якщо українець зареєстрував собі компанію і володіє в ній часткою понад 50%, або має частку понад 10%, при тому, що інші співзасновники з України володіють понад 50% компанії в сукупності і здійснює фактичний контроль окремо або разом з іншими резидентами, у цьому випадку вам потрібно входити в кік-стезю, я би так сказала. А в цій кік-стезі в нас є дві обов'язкових дії. Перша дія – це подати повідомлення про те, що ви зареєстрували іноземну компанію протягом 60 днів з дня реєстрації. Тобто ви взяли картку e-Residency, зареєстрували собі компанію в онлайні, у вас є дата в реєстрі, умовно кажучи, наприклад, завтра, 28 березня. Обов'язково пам'ятайте, що протягом 60 календарних днів ви ще маєте зайти в свій електронний кабінет платника податків і подати там повідомлення про те, що ви зареєстрували таку компанію. Якщо ви про це забудете, то штраф буде 800 тисяч гривень. Не багато, не мало, але поки що ви не заробили стільки грошей на компанії, краще про це пам'ятати. Йдемо далі, що це була перша ваша обов'язкова дія, а друга обов'язкова дія, вам треба пам'ятати, що вам треба подавати звіти в Україні. Дуже мало хто розуміє цю логіку, але так, українська податкова, український закон зобов'язав українців, які володіють іноземним бізнесом, звітувати в Україні, щоб, не дай Бог, за кордоном не залишилося якісь неоподатковані доходи. Тому, коли ви закрили фінансовий рік, в Естонії він від 1 січня до 31 грудня, наприклад, ви зареєструєтесь зараз у 2024 році, то вам треба буде до 1 травня 2025 року подати свій перший звіт в українську податкову про КІК. Якщо ж в нас присутні сьогодні ще фаундери, вже які мають існуючі іноземні компанії, то пам'ятайте, що до 1 травня вже потрібно подати звіти по тим компаніям, які існували в попередні роки. А це нове законодавство, яке діє за 2022 та 2023 рік, тому це також важлива частина того, на що ми орієнтуємося. І завершуючи такий мій короткий обзор, що відбувається з податковою банківською системою в Естонії для українських фаундерів, ми допомагаємо з реєстрацією компаній, відкриттям банківських рахунків, відкриттям офісів і всіма тими послугами, які допоможуть вам стартувати свій бізнес. Залишаємося на зв'язку, це мій LinkedIn, буду рада вас там бачити. Також ви можете замовити консультацію, залишивши назву в темі запита «Resident», і моя команда буде рада допомогти вам прояснити ті питання, які залишилися незрозумілими з точки зору оподаткування або реєстрації компанії в Естонії. На цьому все. Я нагадую, що в кінці у нас буде сесія запитань та відповідей, тому ви можете продовжувати писати свої коменти. І, звісно, що ми отримали всі попередні запитання, тому в кінці я обов'язково на них відповім. Дякую.
Perfect. Thank you, Natalia. Very informative from what I understood.
Thank you.
Before giving a mic further to Maria, I'll answer quickly a question that I see in the comments about the rough registration costs. So you pay 120 euros for e-Residency fee. So the document is given to you for 5 years, then you have to renew it. And when you get your e-Residency card, then you go to the e-business registry in Estonia, to the website, and you register a company, and it costs 265 euros. So it's a one-time fee, and your company stays forever. One basically mandatory cost that you need to also consider is that by Estonian law, every Estonian company has to have a legal address in Estonia. Now, since you guys don't have any physical real estate in Estonia, I assume, where you can register a company, then what you can do is you can rent kind of like a virtual address, a virtual legal address in Estonia. And you can do it. You can rent it from one of the service providers that you can see are listed in the marketplace of e-Residency. So if you go to our website, to the marketplace tab, you will see a bunch of different companies there. So they are all trusted service providers that offer different services for companies that are registered by e-residence. And one of the services is a legal address, so you can rent it from them, and it doesn't cost much. I think the cheapest that I've seen is 10 euros per month, so very cheap. But you can also take different packages, which will include, for example, a legal address together with accounting. Like you'll get an accountant for your company who will prepare you an annual report at the end of the year. They can give you I don't know, some kind of consultation about like Estonian laws or whatever, and you can pay like 50 euros per month for that package. So you should see through the packages, see what's in there, but it's a very reasonable cost. Okay. So yeah, the physical address is not mandatory in Estonia. It's enough if you just rent a virtual legal address, basically. But going forward, I want to give a mic to Maria, who represents she represents Startup Wise Guys. And if you guys never heard about Startup Wise Guys, shame on you, because Startup Wise Guys is Maria will tell you more. But if I remember correctly, they were named top accelerator in Europe last year, and they are put. I don't remember as well if it's true or not, but I remember them somewhere in the either top 10 or even top 5 in the worldwide accelerators,
Even
something
top
like that.
3. It depends on which rankings you're looking at.
But nevertheless, if like I remember, like 8 years ago, I guess you guys started, right? Approximately the same time on e-Residency, and it was like a small, accelerator in Estonia, and now they are presented worldwide, basically with several verticals and so forth. But I'm not going to waste more time on this, Maria. I'll let you tell more about it.
No, thank you so much, Sergey. And also, дякую, Наталя, за дуже змістовну доповідь. I will be speaking English today. So thank you. Yes, my name is Maria. I'm head of business development at the Startup Wise Guys, and we're the biggest B2B early stage investor and accelerator in Europe, and maybe not only. Just like Sergey has told you, we have been born and raised in Estonia, but we are slightly more mature. We're not 8 years, we're actually 12 years old. So we were established in 2012 back in Tallinn. And from the very first day, the journey has been about diversity and cultural diversity. Because from the very first batch that we ever run, we had 3 people in the Startup Wise Guys running the thing, and it was 3 different nationalities. And then from the first cohort of 10 startups that we got onboarded and invested in, we also had 5 different nationalities represented. So the Startup Wise Guys, if you were looking for just one silver lining going through all the history of what we're doing, it's diversity, it's inclusion, it's working with different backgrounds and different also verticals in the business spectrum. In the 12 years, we've had number of different achievements, and I will be talking to you about a couple of those today. But also, I would like to cover the Ukrainian angle for the Startup Wise Guys in a deeper meaning. Our mission is to help founders become entrepreneurs and build sustainable international companies. And the word sustainable here is not only about sustainability, green tech, and climate tech. What we read here is that we want to work with all the companies that are making this world better. So whatever purpose for the betterment of society is behind what you're creating, it can be very simple. It can be very down to earth, like, I don't know, manufacturing line optimizations or some, conventional business optimizations that you're bringing into life. It just has to serve a purpose. And that would be something that we're looking for when we're considering our investments. Startup Wise Guys has been recognized among the top 3 accelerators by the European VCs, and we are in number of rankings. So this is already our hard work for the last 12 years is now just building us bridges and fundament for us to have even more publicity and more opportunities to not only find the startups to invest in, but also find the network, find investors that would be working alongside with us, find the network that we would build upon all the growth that our founders need. And with that said, we have been recognized by the Global Suburb Awards as the best accelerator of last year. But even more importantly, at least for me, being a Ukrainian, we're also the best accelerator in Ukraine, recognized by the Ukrainian Startup Fund. In the 12 years of our history, we have already made 440 plus, give or take, because we're investing every single week. So I could not have the very precise number at every moment. Although we're close to 450 startups invested, our portfolio survival rate is 70%. And that's not just legally open companies. So it's not only legally alive company, but also a company that still generates revenues 18 months after they have graduated our programs. So our portfolio is very active. It's building businesses all around the globe. Our main focus, though, is the European Union, and that's the biggest value proposition that we can offer to our founders. We help them enter Europe. We help them grow their businesses, find their new markets and customers within the EU. And one of the impact metrics for us is that over 4,000 people are already employed by our portfolio companies. And that's a big metric that we keep tracking, and we want this to grow every year. We're on this mission. We do have quite a broad geography. We have been born in Tallinn, but of course in the whole Baltics, we have been doing a number of programs all over the 12 years of our history. But then, as you can see, we're moving all around. So we're always joking that most of the VCs, they tend to go into these markets of, UK, France, Germany, maybe Scandinavia. What we want to create is a stronger early stage community all around Europe and in sometimes overlooked markets. We do work with a number of European VCs. We are almost a quality mark on the cap table of every startup. They do know that after getting us in their cap table, it's easier to fundraise. And now I would like to highlight a little bit of our footprint in the Ukraine. Up until today, we have made investments in 46 startups in Ukraine. We have started investing from the year one, and we keep doing so. So far, we have almost 3 million euro allocated towards the Ukrainian-founded companies. And since the beginning of the full-scale invasion, we have invested in 20 startups. So no matter what's happening, we do believe in the talent and the entrepreneurial spirit in Ukraine, and we keep supporting, keep helping, and keep investing in the market. We do have 2 exits that were Ukrainian-founded companies. One is called Stepshot, another is Callpage. We have 6 employees, and 2 of them are heads of departments that work in the holding company, and we have 1 general partner in the fund who is also from Ukraine. And we have worked with the USF when they were running a more centralized acceleration programs, and we have got a chance to do 1 program with 9 idea stage B2B startups. Now, again, impact metrics, out of 46 startups, we have 9 where there are female founders. We can definitely do better, and we participate and work with different female communities, helping get more and more founders, female founders. And then a total of over 400 jobs has been created by the ventures that we invested in, and the majority of their staff is located in Ukraine. Last but not least, we are running right now, almost at the end of it, our Growth Ukraine program, which has been created in collaboration with the European Bank for Reconstruction and Development and supported by the Taiwan Business EBRD Technical Cooperation Fund as a donor. So we selected 12 scaling startups that we thought are the best ones at growth right now in Ukraine, still at the pre-seed and seed stages. And we have been working with them for 4 months to help them grow, to help them get new investors and new customers in Europe. And they will be graduating on April 16th in Warsaw. Now, we invest only in B2B. And that's important because the whole portfolio of 450 startups are all in the B2B, sometimes as an exemption in B2B to C models. And we are a verticalized fund, so we only open programs that are vertical specific. Sometimes we run B2B SaaS programs, which is broad enough for us to get more, a bigger diversity of solutions. But all the verticals that you see on your screen are those that we have at least one program a year to run and invest in the startups in fintech, cybersecurity, sustainability, extended reality, property and construction tech, and Web3. And with that said, the best place to see what we have open, to see all the opportunities that you could explore with the Startup Wise Guys, they're all on our website. So I strongly recommend to go and check out the website to see different types of programs we have, because we work with different audiences. Yes, the main product, the main program for us is the investment-led program, which we call a full-time accelerator, which basically means that you have to be pre-seed, you have to have a working MVP, you have to have at least 2 co-founders, and your first contract signed. Ideally, generating some revenue, but even if it's a free LOI, but already a POC that you're running with your potential B2B customer, that's a bare minimum of what you need to have in place in order to be eligible for our investment. Although we have also earlier programs that do not entail an investment in them, but they would still be helping you develop your skills as an entrepreneur and also diversify your network within Europe. So, for example, if you're still at the very beginning of your journey and maybe even you're looking for a co-founder, I would suggest that you check out our Founders Club, which is a big program where we matchmake different founders and we help them create their first business strategy. And then they are also eligible to pitch early on in their entrepreneurial journey to our investment funds. That would probably be it. Thank you so much. If you want to contact me, you can find me on LinkedIn or you can email. And I'm waiting for the Q&A after this.
Thanks, Maria. That's awesome. What I really like about Estonian programs is that, like I said, back in the days, Estonian, we had a couple big exits in Estonia, right? And those people who were in the leadership, those co-founders, they started investing back into the community, right? So what's cool is that all of these Estonian, not all of them, but the majority, like accelerators and different incubators, support programs, they are actually led by those same founders that did exits back in the day, right? So the knowledge is practical. And with Garage 48, it's not an exception as well. And Kadri can tell more about it, but I know that Garage 48 is basically, built and founded by some of the top founders, who back in the days did pretty successful exits, and they are still in the game. They're still developing products and so forth. And being that said, I'll give mic to Kadri, and she can introduce it much better than I can. So the mic is yours.
Thank you, Sergey. Hello to everyone. I will be presenting in English. And yes, I will try to keep it brief and short to say. So to introduce you to Garage 48 and what we have been up to. So I am Kadri. I am a project manager and chief operating officer at Garage 48. So if you get any questions, you are welcome to go check out our webpage or drop a line to me over email. But yeah, taking a few years back and a few steps back, Garage 48 was founded back in 2010, so we have been active for more than 14 years by now. And throughout this time, we have reached more than 50 countries with more than 300 different hackathons and open innovation programs that we have done. So our main goal as an organization is to empower people to enter the technology, the startup sector, and develop their entrepreneurial ideas. And throughout this time, 14 years, we are still stayed Estonian-based and have been making our programs and events happen throughout great partnerships over the years. And actually, when Sergei was earlier introducing the factors behind the Estonian startup community success, then I think one of the factors is also that as our home market and even the Baltic market is so small, then Estonian startup founders initially start looking bigger, start looking outside of Estonia. And this is built already in the initial design of the startup ideas of the products and services. And I guess it's similar for us as well at Garage 48. And yes, here are the founders behind Garage 48. So we have Ragnar says here, founder of Pipedrive, one of our unicorns, Martin Villig, again, founder of Bolt and co-founder of Garage 48 as well. And yeah, their idea back then was to bring the Silicon Valley mindset to Estonia and to bring the startup and technology sector mindset into solving different types of problems and challenges that we are facing in the society, and turn this format into a hackathon. And later we have developed several different formats for doing this. Right now, our team is fully female, female-led, has been for years now. So I'd say we have that balance in place nicely as well. So what are we at Garage 48 mainly about? So our hackathons and events and programs revolve around the basis of open innovation. So we are trying to create a platform for people coming together from different sectors to be able to co-create in a neutral setting and together with the mentors, experts, and the structure that is supporting them. We are fostering entrepreneurial mindset and really encouraging people to try out if entrepreneurship could be something for them. Our hackathons and open innovation programs focus on interdisciplinary collaboration, meaning that we are really putting an emphasis on bringing people from different fields together, which would really be this expertise and knowledge to be implemented in the early design of a startup product or idea. Over the years, we have worked a lot with youth, and also female empowerment has been an important topic for us and is ongoingly. And all these different fields, our focuses, we bring together in technology entrepreneurship and supporting individuals and teams who are interested in starting out, trying out, prototyping their ideas as technology companies and entrepreneurs. And also, we have been doing quite a lot of activities in empowering the startup community throughout the different activities that we are doing. And currently, we hold a network of really thousands of mentors in our community. Some of them we work more closely, who are in our core network. Some of the mentors we have been working throughout the 14 years and in different countries. So a really important aspect for us is really nurturing and building the mentors community to support the growth of new founders and new startups. So this is something that is really built into our events and activities of sharing the knowledge of how to mentor, how to support the teams and the founders who are just starting out. So I would like to emphasize just quickly why you as startup founders should consider taking part in hackathons. First of all, I would like to say that there is actually quite a big amount of hackathons out there in Estonia and also globally. And hackathons currently are happening in quite many different formats. You can have shorter ideation sessions. You can have week-long boot camps and everything that falls in between. Hackathons are happening in global, in regional, in very some industry-specific formats, in on-site, in hybrid, in online formats. So there is quite a lot to choose from. And I think different hackathons also serve different purposes, also depending on the field, depending on the challenge outputs. So some of the hackathons can be focused at really just prototyping your first idea, meeting new team members, and really just getting started and getting the understanding of what the startup ecosystem and the startup world is. But there are also hackathons and open innovation programs where already established startup teams are called to participate to solve some challenges, start some partnerships, to be able to work with investor funds or also get some funding. So I suggest you to still keep an eye on the different opportunities out there. What we do at Garage 48 Hackathons is that we are mostly focused on prototyping. So it's not just talking about ideas, but actually developing the first minimum viable product. And hackathons really are not just about prototyping and testing your idea. They are a really great way how to meet future co-founders, teammates, employers, employees, mentors, mentees. It is really a next level networking experience. And also, if you are coming into a new community, it is a great way how to meet people, get the contacts you need to start building your startup or continue your startup activities. We are really trying to give you the thinking and mindset of approaching your startup product or services on a problem-based methodology and design thinking. If you come to a Garage 48 event, then it is all about going from an idea to a prototype and really nothing less. It's a great way to work with mentors, find new mentors, expand your network of people to help you along the way, and then integrating IT skills in different fields, and mainly about taking action and talking less. So there are quite many great startups that have come out of our hackathons and different hackathons, and the potential is always there. But what I was just discussing previously is perhaps even more important than these success stories. And just briefly, Garage 48 hackathons have been happening in on-site, in virtual, hybrid formats. We are doing them in very different fields, in local, regional, cross-continent, global settings. Here you can see a screenshot of a hackathon in Moldova and then in Kenya. And we work in the spheres for public innovation, corporate innovation, international development cooperation, and in different topics from cybersecurity, education technology, health tech, food, architecture, agriculture. Basically, a lot has been in there. And Ukraine holds a very, very dear place in our hearts because we have been active in Ukraine since 2012, having been on site in Kiev, Lviv, Odessa, Kharkiv, Zaporizhia, and we even did a hackathon on a train going from Mariupol to Lviv back in 2019. And in the beginning of last year, had a defense hackathon for Ukraine in Estonia. We have been running tech hackathons and supporting the development and growth of the startup ecosystem in Ukraine for quite a long time, and this is what we plan on continuing doing. Apart from the technology hackathons and empowering the technology sector for the past 5 years, and now we are continuing for the 6th year, we have been running the Empowering Women Entrepreneurship Program. And this is a program that is actually, so to say, sits at the one end of the sphere of activities that we do with Garage 48. And this is a program we specifically designed for women in Eastern Ukraine who are internally displaced people living near the war contact line and are in a vulnerable condition due to the ongoing war. So we started this back in 2019, and since then we have been working with more than 600 women and supporting them in starting their micro businesses that can provide a livelihood and restore their independent income for their family and for themselves with a startup-minded approach and the best people and methodologies and bringing the mentoring to them as well. And back in 2022, we opened this program in Estonia as well for the Ukrainian refugees in here. And this has been going for the past 2 years, and we're currently fundraising to bring the next program to happen. And currently our Ukrainian program applications are open. So this is most likely not a call to action to the audience here, but if you know any women who could benefit from these programs, then go check out Garage 48 website, and they are welcome to apply. And Jakuju, thank you. This is it from me. So happy to connect on LinkedIn, and you can always drop me a line.
Thank you so much, Kadri. Awesome. I mean, we're done with the presentation part, right? So I guess we have a little bit of time to dig into questions. I see. So basically, we have a few questions in the comments, but then we also received several questions on our email as well, right? Perhaps we can answer, Natalia, perhaps you can answer really quickly those that are in the comment section.
Yes.
And then we can...
The first question, if we don't withdraw the profit but keep it in the company, do we have to pay income tax in Ukraine in this case if the owner is a tax resident of Ukraine? This question will be regulated by control for foreign companies legislation in Ukraine. And in this case, we should observe the tax exemption criteria. Now we have two criteria how you can be exempt from the income tax in Ukraine in this case. The first option is when your taxable turnover less than 2 million euros per year. So if you have a small company, you wouldn't pay additional income tax on the not retained profit. The second option, it should be combined two criteria. It's the existence of the double tax treaty between Ukraine and Estonia. We have it in reality. And the second criteria, it will be that your company should generate active income. So you don't need to have some passive income from dividends, royalties, and etc. So if your company will have this criteria, you wouldn't pay additional income tax to the physical person as a tax resident of Ukraine. The next question, very quick. Do we understand correctly if profit is to be withdrawn to Ukrainian owners, then one has to pay 20% plus 9% plus 1.5%? Yes, it will be overall taxation. 20% it will be on the Estonian corporate income tax, and 9 plus 1.5% it will be in Ukraine according to your tax residence in Ukraine. And in addition, I have some additional question before our event. The first, the question from Sergey, do I have to pay taxes in Estonia if I have obtained Estonian e-residence but haven't yet opened a company in Estonia? No, I discovered this question through my presentation that tax residence and e-resident, it's not the same. So you should pay taxes in the country of your tax residence. If your tax residence now is Ukraine, so you should pay taxes as a physical person according to the Ukrainian legislation. The next question, if I have received residence in Estonia and open a company in Estonia, at the same time, I will continue to have a company as an individual entrepreneur in Ukraine. I will pay 5% tax every month. Do I have to pay tax in Estonia for income received on accounts not belonging to an Estonian company? No, it's the same question about that your tax residence in Ukraine, and you should pay all taxes according to your all worldwide income only in Ukraine. In Estonia, you will pay only corporate income tax if you will distribute your profit. The next question. Does my company have to have its own physical address in Estonia in order to become an e-resident? For receiving e-residency, you don't need to have a physical address. So any person from any country could receive e-residency card without physical address in Estonia. But if you would like to incorporate your company on the territory of Estonia, you should have a registered address. You can buy it through the marketplace of Estonian providers of legal addresses, contact persons, accounting services, and etc. And it's not so expensive. It could be 200, 300 euros per year. And one question in Ukrainian language. So, чи варто реєструвати e-резидентство для отримання можливості працювати зі Stripe? Так, для України поки що недоступний Stripe. Якщо ви зареєструєте компанію в Естонії, ви отримуєте доступ до Stripe, але пам'ятайте, що Stripe буде перевіряти місце, де ви проживаєте. Якщо ви проживаєте на території України, то з перевіркою QIC можуть бути певні проблеми. And come back to English. So the next question is yearly cost of Estonian company. It could be two compulsory costs for supporting your Estonian company. The first, it will be registered address for the company, and the second, it will be accounting services. So about registered address we discussed early, and about accounting services, approximately the average cost of accounting services will be started from 100 euros per month, and it depends on your activity, on the amount of transaction, etc. But in comparison with other European countries, I could confirm that Estonian costs for accounting services is not expensive and quite cheap, so it's quite a good option for economy of the company. So maybe from my side, I opened all questions.
If later comes anything else, then we can come back to them as well. Maria, I think you see in the private chat as well a few questions, right, regarding startups. Maybe you can take those.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, everyone, for all your speeches, and thank you to the audience for being active and asking questions. I see a couple of questions, both from the, let's say, preliminary questionnaire and then today in the audience about video games industry and video games startups. I do have to say that, for example, Startup Wise Guys does not work with this industry at all. And there is a question from Julian on what do I do? Where should I start if I have video games B2C startup? I would suggest that you start following all the game dev industry. Let's start with newsletters, but generally what is happening and where the finances are coming from. A lot of large game development studios and generally large industry players do their own accelerator programs and general educational programs on how to invest, how to create, how to distribute, how to engage within the sector. So just make sure that when you're looking for your partner, be it accelerator or investor or just the knowledge gaining opportunity for you, make sure that you're learning from the best in their industry. So unless the startup is within our interested verticals, unfortunately, we cannot help because we're simply not experts in the field, and you deserve to work with the best in your vertical. Now, I have seen a couple of questions that are more addressed towards us, and one of them has been about what are the aftercare benefits and why would a startup want to join this community. First and foremost, you would be exposed to a talent pool of over 1,000 founders that are running their businesses, that are fundraising, that are building their sales. So you get access to people that are living through your hustle, and you can learn from them. Plus to that, during the program, you meet quite a broad network. Every startup meets at least 100, 150 new people during their programs with us. So you're growing your network dramatically within the European Union, and it gives you opportunities for you to be more exploratory in the further months to come. Plus to that, we do help with further rounds. So we help our startups fundraise their next rounds. We have a follow-on rate of 50% of all our invested companies. And we also work with them as the board member. So we can advise and we can help with whatever is the next big strategic thing in your startup. So I would say those are some of the benefits that you should be looking for when you're choosing who is your investor and who you want to learn from or work with. And then last one was, what's the best way to hire engineers? I guess the main trick here is that you're still in the early stages and you don't have the source of income. So I don't have a magic trick of a secret line that you have to say to a developer for them to become a part of your program or project. But what you can do is consider giving either stock option plan for your employees. So they would become even part-time your employees already for a share in your company, or if you're confident in that person, you could make them a co-founder. It will, of course, depend on what's the share that they're getting, but they could become your CTO. And usually CTOs are building their startups from scratch without expecting to have a salary, at least prior to having some income or investment. I hope it helps. Thank you.
Thanks, Maria. We will let you go because I know you're in the rush.
Yes, thank you. And ciao.
Bye. And I just wanted to add as well to what Maria basically answered about gaming sector. So before I was showing you the database of Estonian startups, and I'm literally in it right now, and I filtered out those startups that are in the gaming industry, and there are 9 of them. Okay, so what you can do probably is you can try to find each one of them on LinkedIn, for instance, and see, what they're doing, where they're going, what kind of conferences they're attending, where they are pitching, who they're partnering with. And from there on, you can start exploring the ecosystem, like the gaming ecosystem in Estonia. And you can also see who invested in them, right? So you can see who are those VCs who are interested in this industry as well. So it can give you some kind of start point, okay? But I believe we have some other questions too. I see there are some of them that perhaps Kadri can answer as well.
Yes. I would take the question also that was sent before the webinar already. Opportunities for collaboration or co-development with other startups or established companies within our network. So I'd say that the Estonian ecosystem is quite developed, and glad to see that it keeps on developing. It doesn't stop. And this meaning that open innovation programs and hackathons, there are just so many happening all the time, everywhere, and this kind of this methodology and running hackathons and innovating internally has also filtered into private companies, governmental institutions. We are just having hackathons and innovating in very different formats, in very different fields happening across the country all the time. So definitely, yes, I say that there is a lot of opportunities and a lot of interest in collaborating and co-developing, and also coming more and more from the established companies. I think there is still a lot of untapped potential, change of the mindset there, but this is coming more and more coming onto the surface, and the interest of what the startups and the technology sector is doing is only growing. I see another question here: how to present startup idea in the best way? I would say do it authentically. So investors, audience in the startup and technology sector, they hear a lot of startup pitches and a lot of ideas, what we see works the best if you do not try to be anyone else if you're pitching your startup idea other than yourself, because you are the founder or co-founder of the idea. You have chosen this specific problem that you want to address, that you want to solve, and you need to bring that that pain you are feeling, that motivation and that drive that you are feeling into your startup pitch and presenting your startup as well. Of course, there is a general structure out there. Start with the problem, then describe the solution and your idea, describe your team, what you're doing, what is the action plan. It depends, but yeah, I would say that really stay authentic and really emphasize what are your strengths, and be bold, and yeah. And I see there is a second try at the engineers hiring, perhaps some ideas coming from hackathons, but I agree with what Maria said, that either making the engineer a co-founder or equity options for the engineers is one option to consider. I think that's all, Sergey, on my side.
Perfect. Good. I guess I think we're done for today, guys. I think we'll send you a follow-up email tomorrow or maybe later today. I'll put in the slides there and some links as well, and a few things that I haven't even mentioned, but interesting things to look up. Information about the campaign that's ongoing right now, that basically you can become an e-resident and you can register a company in Estonia for free if you fulfill a few things, basically few conditions. But nevertheless, we're happy that you attended. If you guys want to reach out to one of us personally, please do that, especially if you want to discuss your personal startup idea, like if it fits into the Estonian kind of ecosystem and what kind of help you can get from the Estonian ecosystem. I can talk through this with you on one-on-one basis as well. I don't mind, so reach out and we can talk about it.
Great. Thank you very much for the speeches and for the interesting event, and we'll be soon.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.